Hey, Daddy, this is the man of the champions, Bill Fonzie Alfonso, giving a shout out to something else. Something else, Daddy.
This is Nickel Matan, Great Warrior Wolf, and you are listening to Something Else.
I'm Tony Cini, and you're listening to Something Else.
Hey everybody, it's Rich Palladino, the voice of New England, and you are listening to Something Else with Arya.
And welcome to episode number 157 of Something Else. Feast your ear holes on this week's episode as we take a look at Mid-South Wrestling and Royal Class Championship Wrestling from January 14th, 1984. My name is Arya, and joining me, as always, is the Tomohiro Ishii to my Gabe Kid. It's Trae. Trae, how the fuck are you today?
Are we gonna go to a 30-minute draw?
Yes, we are. And then I'm going to challenge you to an Iron Man match afterwards.
Well, that's so silly. Like
Yeah.
you do 30 minutes with no falls, so the follow-up to that is who can get the most falls in 30 minutes.
Yep.
Why? That's
I was saying to Cindy tomorrow that I swear Russo's now booking New Japan Strong. Although, like I told her, if he was, the August tournament would be renamed the G Spot Climax instead. Hey,
okay.
I pop both of you with that one. Okay, good.
That's pretty good.
Yes. So
Somebody should use that in a parody of some kind.
welcome back to Mid-South. I guess technically we only skipped 1 week due to it just disappearing off the face of the earth, but we haven't talked Mid-South in about a month now, and it was nice to get back in the swing of things. I don't know about you. Um, but
Yeah,
mhm.
I was sorry that we missed an episode because from what I could determine, this looked like a hell of an episode.
Yep, and this is officially our fourth full year of Mid-South, or our fourth calendar year of Mid-South, because we started in December of '81 and then did all of '82, all of '83, and into '84. And I know that there's other podcasts out there who jumped ahead to begin at this point, and obviously, check them out. They're a great show, but also if you want to hear everything from the beginning, every single episode almost is available to you completely for free. Just check out our Spotify, check out our YouTube page. It's all there. Go back in time and listen to me go through co-hosts like a knife through butter. That's funny because I only had one co-host before you. But anyway, oh, Jesus Christ, that's 120, well, no, not even 120, 100, maybe 100 episodes of Mid-South, I'd say, that we've done, give or take, 110. Actually, this number should be easy. It's 157. Actually, fuck it, never mind. I managed to fuck this up. It's about 100 episodes of Mid-South we've done so far. I was about to say it's a 157 minus 27 because, we're at 27 episodes of TNA, but then there were also random other episodes where we talked about non-Mid-South stuff. So it's about 100 episodes of Mid-South, dating back to December of '81. Go check it out as I continue to blather on about nothing in particular. Trae, start talking about something to make me shut up. Good job, Trae. All right.
Hey, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I was trying to run fucking so I'm sitting here and I keep hearing the cat got stuck in the bathroom that's attached to my room and was trying to beat the door down. So I was trying to run and rescue my cat.
Oh Lord. So I do want to wish best wishes to the family and friends of Black Bart. He was here briefly either last year or the year before in Mid-South as Hangman Rick Harris from the Big Sky Country. And he passed away recently, and want to send best wishes to his friends and family.
Yeah, and we talked about this on the Oh My God cast that dropped today. Hunter Q. Robbins the third, or as Terry Funk called him on the first episode of ECW TV, and we forever called him the Turd. The Turd passed away over the weekend as well. So
Why did he
wanted
call him the turd?
the Turd. It's just
Ah, okay. Terry Funk being really witty here.
very.
All right, so let's go to the intro of the show, JR and Bill Watts, and they're going to pitch it to a video from last week's episode, the missing episode, that we're just going to play it straight through.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to Mid-South Wrestling. I'm Jim Ross, and I'll be your host for the next exciting hour of tremendous wrestling action. And here with me at Mike's side is Cowboy Bill Watts. And Bill, there's another Grizzly Smith has outdone himself once again. This is a tremendous wrestling card, some tremendous tag team matches, and a great confrontation between Steve Dr. Death Williams and Krusher Darsow.
Well, Steve Dr. Death Williams is very outspoken about what he thinks of Russians and Russian sympathizers, so that should be fireworks. A lot of excitement. Last week here on Mid-South Wrestling, when the Russians were so arrogantly making their boisterous challenge when they knew Dog and JYD and Dugan were not dressed for combat, they were very surprised when the youngster from Florida answered that challenge. Let's see what happened here last week.
Darsow has insisted that we continue this tape until he can make a special challenge.
I want a special challenge match here. I want my comrade here. I want him to have some competition. I want the Junkyard Dog. I want Duggan. I want TA. I want Mr. Two. I want anybody down here. I want competition. So does he.
Some competition, because here in America, all the professional wrestlers are clowns. They lose the count and face me. My little come shop right now. Get up from your closet, chicken. Well, I see a little competition coming to the ring right now.
Who's this? I can say something. I heard you challenging guys that are up there. You know they got their clothes on. They were just down here. It's real easy to challenge them. I'll tell you right now, you disgust me, but you're even worse turning your back on your country and your people. You want competition? I'm not Junkyard Dog, and I'm not Magnum TA. I'm none of those guys, but I'm Terry Taylor, and I'm here to stay. Well, I'll take your man on. Who are you even to say this? You're just some skinny guy. You look like you come from Florida. A man like this will just take that 10 and send it right back to Florida with it. Well, here's his chance. Why don't you let him? Nikolai, you want to do that? Oh.
I just noticed Darsow's shirt in this. He's wearing a blue shirt that says "I love Russia" on the front, and on the back it says "Russia #1" on the back. I just laughed about that one.
It's fantabulous.
Yes. So we're gonna have a fantastic battle here today. A great confrontation between Dr. Death and Krusher Darsow. I think JR is prone to exaggeration. Plus, have you noticed, they talk about how Dr. Death is really against Russia. He has never come out a single time, and I don't think he's ever cut a promo on the show. How do we know how he really feels about Russia?
Well, that's a good question.
Yes.
It's a lot of assuming.
You know what happens when you make an assumption? You make an ass out of you and Emption.
Both of us.
Yeah. So Darsow challenged a top babyface last week to come out and wrestle Volkoff, and out came terrific Terry Taylor, who said he isn't Magnum TA or Junkyard Dog, but he is Terry Taylor. I guess that's nice of him to point that out, who he is, and said he would wrestle Volkoff. And after some debate, Volkoff attacked, and the match was on. And they show the whole match, and I was shocked they were able to squeeze this entire match into this show because they got a full show here. They managed to squeeze this full, high-quality main event style match into this show, where the computerized man of the 1990s, Terrence Taylor, took on Nikolai Volkoff. Taylor won with a roll-up in about 30 seconds, causing pandemonium in the crowd and making geopolitical Bill Watts freak out, as this was a big win, not just for Terry Taylor, but for America.
New young babyface Terry Taylor immediately getting one over on two of the biggest heels in the territory.
And needless to say, this was better for Terry Taylor than those fucking music videos we saw for him the last few weeks.
This is the year that he has the Superdome match with Flair, right?
I think it's not till 85, but I don't know for sure. I'd have to go look, but I'm pretty sure it's 85. Um, let's see. Ric Flair versus Terry Taylor. That would be June 1st, 1985.
Oh, well, we got a while to go. I wonder if he's going to be in the territory the whole time until then.
There's one way to find out.
Uh,
Uh, you could have asked these questions before the show even began here. We could have done some digging here, but let's see. Going back to 1984 with Terry Taylor. Let's see. By the looks of it, he at least makes it through 84. Yeah, he's here. He does a little bouncing, but it's primarily here in Mid-South through 84 and jumping over to 85. Yeah, it looks like he's pretty much here nonstop until after the Flair match.
where would be the show if we didn't just go off on some inane nonsense?
To be fair, at least this inane nonsense is,
It is about Mid-South.
yeah, yeah.
It is tangentially related to what we're watching.
Yes, he goes to Mid-Atlantic in July of 85. And for some
Oh,
reason, he's also bouncing between there and Memphis. I don't know why, but whatever. That's another show's
weird.
problem.
I guess I never really thought about what Terry Taylor did between like 85 and whenever he was in WCW and like what or the Red Rooster. When was the Red Rooster? 88, 89.
Yeah, 88.
You
When
remember like the you remember the urban legend that Terry Taylor was going to be Mr. Perfect?
yeah, no, that would like it's one of those things that's nice to talk about. Oh, Terry Taylor's either going to be the Red Rooster or Mr. Perfect. It's like, yeah, that says much. That's much baloney as Hulk Hogan saying he was going to get
No.
the George Foreman grill but didn't answer the phone in time.
Here's the thing. Only Kurt Hennig could have been Mr. Perfect.
Yes, yes. It's much how Shinsuke Nakamura could not have come out to Robert Roode's glorious theme song, even though that really was almost Nakamura's theme song. It just wouldn't have been right.
Right.
It's like, you know, well, after that, after we got Terry Taylor versus Nikolai Volkoff from last week, we got the Red Rooster versus Doug Vines. And Joel Watts was the referee, being referred to as such instead of his prior referee name of Joel Armstrong. Volkoff and Darsow came to the ring to watch. According to Bill Watts, this is directly according to the host of the show, Doug Vines is cranking off on Terry Taylor.
That
I
sounds that sounds lewd.
that is not our only penis reference of the show either. Taylor was so offended that he would do that, he hit the five arm for the win. I don't know when it actually starts being called the five arm, but because it's one better than a forearm, that's
It's
what
clever.
he eventually calls it. Yes. So the Russians hit the ring, but before anything could happen, JYD and Dugan hit the ring for backup. Joel was walking behind them, and for some reason, I don't know why, but while Joel was walking behind the baby faces, I kept waiting for him to turn on them and become the new Russian heel referee. But alas, that did not happen.
Oh God, Watts would never. Watts would never allow. He just acknowledged him as his son. He's never going to have his son turn traitor against America.
Maybe that would have gotten Erich over in WCW 92, 93.
Well, the Yeah, Eric as a communist in 1993. That'd be fantastic.
Especially since Volkov wasn't even a communist. Nikita Koloff wasn't even a communist. They're both from Lithuania. Could have shaved
You,
Eric's head. I would have been
you
a
can be a
singlet.
you can be a communist and not be a citizen of the Soviet Union.
No, it doesn't work. So we need to shave Eric's head, put him in a singlet with the Russian sickle on it. I don't know. It would have been better than watching him. Who was it that he gave the drop kick to at Starrcade? Was it Kensuke Sasaki, where he did like the big drop kick to the knee? But you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay. Well, there's a match at Starrcade 92 in the Battle Bowl. Erik Watts is in it, and he gives somebody a drop kick, and he's supposed to get up as a regular drop kick, but horribly mistimed it and gave the person a drop kick to the knee.
I mean, that's just Eric being ahead of his time. That's a Keiji Muto spot.
There you go. And hey, Muto was on Starrcade 92. He won Battle Bowl.
Exactly. He saw Eric do that drop kick to the knee, and when he had to change his style because the moonsault was destroying his knees, he remembered and said, "I will pattern myself after the great Erik Watts."
Wow. Do you think if TNA would have brought in Erik Watts as the Great Muta's a next star instead of Sonata, and they had the Great Watts instead of the Great Sonata, it would have turned out better for them?
Um,
Him and James Storm and Watts as somehow being a Japanese face painted peel.
now I really need Erik Watts as like a very bootleg Great Muta.
I'm sure Erik Watts is still alive. Get him on the phone.
Tony Khan, make it happen. Put that shit on
Yes.
Collision.
Tony, I'm sure you're listening to us because why wouldn't you? You know? Hey, if you could allow that fucking finish with Jericho and Dax from last night, you could definitely out Erik Watts as a Russian one week and then, a Great Muta ripoff the next week.
Isn't that the worst idea? Erik Watts as Yoshi Kwan.
Oh my God. Would he have been better or worse than Chris Champion?
Um, I don't know because Chris Champion was terrible, but like, I don't know if Erik Watts would have been worse than that or not. Like, it's hard to be worse. But then, like, it Chris Champion was kind of like if you were trying to do a terrible yellowface gimmick, he was perfect at it.
So which Chris Champion gimmick was worse, Yoshi Kwan or the New Breed?
I don't even remember the new breed. When was that?
That was 87 Crockett. Um, that was so they were time travelers going back from the year 2002 where Dusty Rhodes was the president of the United States. And here's my question. Since they're from the future, when they go back in time, wouldn't they have known that by going back in time, they would be, a step above jobber status? Or did they realize that in 2002, the NWA would be what it was and realize that, hey, you know, being NWA Tag Team Champions in 1987 is going to mean a whole lot more than 2002?
What if them going back is the reason that the NWA lost the war?
What if Vince is the one that sent them back?
Yeah, I need to link this new breed with Tekno Team 2000 somehow.
Who was Chris Champion's partner? My God.
I don't
I,
know.
I can't remember. I know Techno Team 2000 was Erik Watts and Chad Fortune, and their names were Travis and Troy, which just tells you I know way too much about fucking wrestling that I know that off the top of my head. Um,
See, what we need to get to here is a time traveling tag team consisting of Chris Champion and Erik Watts.
There you go. And the time travel could get all fucked up, and Chris Champion could come out one day as Yoshi Kwan because he somehow got screwed up in the timeline.
Okay, that's even because I was trying to figure out like, are they time travelers, but are they still doing yellowface? And then like, but they don't really acknowledge it. It's just, but it's funnier. It's funnier if they get the paths crossed.
Or
And
or or he comes out in Yellowface as Yoshi Kwan, but he just acts like regular Chris Champion because he really got fucked up there.
oh,
Needless to say, this would never make air in 2025, whatever goddamn year we're in right now. But it would amuse us. It would amuse the booking team meetings.
I really got to get back on the TEW.
I, I I just had to go look how the hell we got here. Um, because Joel Watts was the referee.
Yes, and Bill Watts acknowledged that the referee was his son, Joel Watts.
Yes. And I mentioned that I thought Joel was going to turn heel for a minute, and he didn't. All right, Junkyard Dog and Hacksaw Duggan walked to the back and then walked right back out for the next match against Larry Higgins and Jeff Swords. And of course, geopolitical Bill Watts got to rant and rave about America during this match as well. And we find out that Mr. Wrestling 2 has apparently said that Magnum TA could do anything to anyone. And to make our refereeing even weirder, King Carl Fergie has now become a referee here in Mid-South. And I guess now that his cousin has stolen his crown back, so Fergie has moved into the referee position. I don't know. Anyway, Dugan won with a spear on Jeff Swords. After the match, the Russians hit the ring to attack from behind. Larry Higgins, I love this. Larry Higgins got in the ring, and I don't think he was supposed to, because as soon as he does, Duggan spears him right back out of the ring. And and Dog, pardon me, pardon me, easy for me to say. Dog and Duggan disposed of the Russians and stood tall.
There's already too many hacksaws in this territory, Larry Higgins.
Yes. I wrote Hacksaw Higgins and then realized I don't think he was ever called that during the match.
Demoting poor Carl Fergie from king to referee has to be the worst thing Grizzly Smith has ever done.
Well, this isn't going to be that funny because I'm laughing about it before I'm saying it. But was Grizzly Smith also behind demoting Chris Benoit from the Four Horsemen to Raw?
Oh God. Fucking Nancy Grace.
The bad thing was, like, if I remember right, like the in the future, like, because she did like 20 shows about Benoit, like she got a lot better at it, but everyone just remembers that first time she said that.
Oh,
Oh, Lord.
she was awful anyway.
Yeah, she was. And the woman with the mouth?
The woman with the mouth.
Yes, her co-host with like the weird mouth that, you know,
Oh.
the I don't even know how to explain it, but if you saw it, you know who I'm talking about. All
Hmm.
right. So up next, all right. So up next, please, like, tell me if you saw something else on the screen. Up next, Tag Team Champions Mr. Wrestling 2 and Magnum TA were taking on a team that was billed as Paul Garner and Don Ralston. The graphic says Don Ralston, but Reeser, I'm assuming, just couldn't pronounce Ralston, so he calls him Don Rhodes.
Uh, that is what happened, the best I can determine.
All right. And then I wrote randomly in the middle of the match, but I don't even think the bell rang. But
The bell did ring.
okay.
This
So
was a
yes,
match.
so randomly in the middle of the match, Jimmy Cornette got in the ring and not just got on the apron or not got on the ringside. Jimmy Cornette got in the ring and demanded the microphone. So let's go to Jimmy Cornette.
Got a couple of sacks there. I don't know what's going on. He's crazy. Mama's boy. You hear the crowd, they call him
You
Mama.
know, I believe I told everybody that Magnum TA and Mr. Wrestling 2 are a couple of chickens because they won't defend the Mid-South Tag Team belts against the Midnight Express. Well, my mother and I have gotten together, and we've gotten a little surprise for you. We've got something to make an example out of you two and to show you that we don't tolerate cowards around here at all.
So, to the surprise of approximately nobody, the Midnight Express attacked from behind. And Ralston and Garner did get involved, but their part of the match is pretty much over at this point.
Yeah, they helped at first, and then TA kicked their asses, so they left.
Yes, they realized that today was not their day. Tomorrow might be, but not today anyway. So the big surprise here was that they laid out Mr. Wrestling 2 with a slapjack, and then they held TA down so Corny could tar and feather him. Now, we've seen tar and feather angles before in wrestling. We've seen a lot of them. And, there's usually just enough feathers so it stands out. I don't know what the hell Cornette did. I don't know if he just ripped open a pillow at his hotel and took every feather he could find, because he really doused TA with feathers right here. In fact, when TA stood up, feathers went flying when TA stood up. I was laughing at this. And by the way, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just chuckling at the memory.
Rick Rude, Dr. Death, and Lanny Poffo all made the save. And like I said, TA sent feathers flying when he stood up, and that ring was ruined for the rest of the show here.
It was. Didn't we have a whole conversation about tarring and feathering on like the Smoky Mountain show last week for some reason?
Either last week or the week before, yeah. And so I think Cornette and Grizzly Smith and Bill Dundee are using that temporal ham radio to listen to our show back in 1983 and book this angle.
Yeah, we'll see later when they do the interview. It's like it is a comical amount of feathers. Like they did it properly.
Yes, yes. But you also found out why there just always happens to be a mat like laying down when they do this angle.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, didn't they do this to Horner on Smoky Mountain? Yeah, didn't Candido do it to him? Maybe not, but
I don't know.
It feels like something. It feels like something that was done to Horner.
Their stuff has been about baby bottles and diapers and stuff.
Very true, but it feels like Horner got tarred and feathered. It seems like something that would have happened to him.
Well, they tarred and feathered Ricky Morton.
Okay, maybe it was Ricky Morton. I thought it was Horner, but I guess he can't do everything to Horner. And occasionally he has to, look good, or as good as he's going to.
Did he ever really?
I mean, to the best of his abilities, I'll say. All right, so before we tell you the participants in the next match, we're going to go to Jim Cornette again, who's going to introduce his team.
You know, everybody said the Midnight Express had a chance of being the greatest team of all time. Well, when you've got the Cornette family fortune behind you, that takes the chance right out of it. Now, what you saw just a few minutes ago, you've heard of the San Diego Chicken. Well, that right there was the Mid-South Chicken. And these two men are the ones responsible. Loverboy Dennis and beautiful Bobby, the Midnight Express.
All right, so it is the Midnight Express, Dennis Condrey and Bob Eaton, in a tag team match with their manager Jim Cornette, whose last name is misspelled in the graphic. So it looks like the way Danhausen said Cornette's name when Danhausen did a cameo. Against a team that I stole the name of Mick Foley's band when he was in high school. The team of the Brothers Penis.
This has got to be the longest length of dick ever present on a two-man team.
George Weingeroff and Lanny Poffo. Good Lord.
Fucking wow.
And there's always that story that I think Ole Anderson said it that Lanny Poffo once sucked his own dick, but
Yeah,
and as we've noted, blind George Weingeroff has at least a 10-inch dick. So, you know,
at least.
it's amazing that Weingeroff can wear spandex with that thing. You know,
Uh, incredible.
maybe he has like
Incredible.
a hair scrunchie to wrap around it or something. I don't know. And I said all they need is two cold Scorpio to make a great trios team here.
Oh wow, that would be a money trio.
Yeah, money shot.
Maybe they could go to Georgia and wrestle the Freebirds for the six-man tag team title.
They go all the way down to Freebird Mountain. We'll
Is
get to
that is
that.
that
So go ahead.
is that near Bad Street, USA?
I think so. Because I would assume because that's where Terry Gordy came down from to wrestle in Smoky Mountain.
I think
Uh,
so, yeah.
yeah. So I like this match. I mean, it was your average, enhancement tag match, but I really enjoyed it. They got the heat on Poffo, and every time he got close to tagging out, the Midnight Express would attack Weingroff on the apron, and it would really getting under the skin of the announcers, Bill Watts especially, that instead of just pulling Lanny back, that they'd be attacking the poor guy on the apron. Finally, Poffo made the hot tag and ran wild. Well, Weingroff ran wild before being cut off, and the Midnights won with their back suplex elbow drop finisher.
Yeah, this was good. Like, it's a treat when the Midnights have a really talented enhancement team to work with. Like, this was the best Midnights match yet, just because they had good opponents and a little bit of time. I feel bad for Lanny. I guess he's just a job guy now. His angle with TA and two seems to have just ended.
Poor TA in two, or sorry, poor Lanny Poffo. He gets told that he's no good because his brother and his father are jerks, and then he just gets dropped from the angle entirely.
That's really sad.
All right, so before our next match, we got a promo with a giant chicken and Mr. Wrestling 2. Let's go to that promo right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm at ringside with the Mid-South Tag Team Champions, Mr. Wrestling 2 and Magnum TA. And gentlemen, I've been in wrestling 20 years, and I've never seen anything like this. And I'm sure everybody's awaiting your comments as I am.
Let me tell you something right now, Bill Watts. They pulled a trick this time. But let me tell each and every one of you out there, there's going to be some plucking going on around here. You talk about chickens. When we're through with you, we're going to pluck everything out of you. Every strip, we're going to pick you until you can't be picked anymore.
I'm here to tell each and every one of you right now, you might find something remotely humorous about this, but to me, this is the most degrading, humiliating thing anyone could have possibly done to me. And this will not be the end of this. Midnight Express, Cornette, this, if you wanted my attention, you've got Magnum TA's attention, and now you got my attention. Let's see what you're going to do about it. Where are you now? I'll be up anywhere you want to be. I can't put the titles up. Mid-South's got to do that. But I'll wrestle you anywhere, anytime, under any conditions. Don't walk the streets and turn your back because of this. It's some old medicine that should have been forgotten a long time ago. Tactics like this should never, never, ever be used on any human being on this earth. And I'll make you regret the day you ever thought about feathering Magnum TA. Mark my words.
I think that says it all. Let's go back to Jim Ross at the desk.
All right, so the first half of TA's promo, when he's talking quietly, I'm like, if I'm Dennis Condrey and Bob Eaton, I'm running for the fucking hills because he sounded like he's gonna fucking murder them to death. And then I thought, especially when he started getting louder, it got too pro wrestling, quote unquote. Um, but yeah, I thought that was a fucking great fucking tone for the promo too, when he's silently threatening their lives. But
Yeah, he just looked fantastic. Like, they did a great job with the tar and feather. He looked ridiculous.
Yes. It makes up for Mr. Wrestling 2. Um, Twice I thought he said that they were going to do some fucking. I wrote down in my original notes, it sounded like he said fucking, and then well, I guess he means plucking. And then I listened to it again. I thought he said fucking again. Like, okay. Oh, Lord. But yeah, I I don't want to say it's out of nowhere because again, they don't have a lot of tag teams on Mid-South, but it definitely seems out of nowhere that suddenly the Midnight Express, who just started and they're just doing enhancement matches now, are suddenly feuding for the tag belts, which I guess we knew had to happen because, the Superdome show's coming up in April.
Yeah. And they announced something during the last match that about a tag
Hmm.
team coming in too.
And we'll get to that, certainly. And by the way, it was during this promo, for some reason, I don't know why this made me think about it. Junkyard Dog is the North American champion. I don't know the
Oh yeah.
last time that got mentioned on TV. He hasn't had his belt the last few times he's been out. He wasn't mentioned as champion earlier during the tag match with Dugan against Higgins and Swords. He just, I don't know. It's weird. It's like it's never mentioned, and I promise they're not getting rid of the title like they did the Louisiana and the Mississippi title. But yeah, just I don't know. Maybe he lost the belt because I know they're bringing in a new North American title at some point, and that might be what's happening here. That they're transitioning to the new belt because that old belt does look pretty fucking crappy. It looks like something made at in a prison, like the AWA title was, and not even a good prison apparently. Because at least the AWA title for a belt made in a prison, I thought it looked pretty good.
It's a very cool belt. The inmate belt.
The AWA belt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that belt, and I've got a few replica belts, and that's one I definitely think about picking up if I had the chance.
Yeah, me too. I like that better than the like the one after the one that they had made after because the inmate belt was the one that Stan Hansen ran over with his truck, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, and then they made another belt after that's kind of like the same basic big silver plate, but it was a lot more fancy, like the one Lawler had.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of, the Super Clash 3 belt.
Yeah,
Even though I think it had been around for a while before that.
yeah, it's not as good as the inmate belt, I don't think.
No. Jim Neidhart was up next to take on Tom Lentz in a battle of two guys who played a little football. And this is where I note that I'm starting to think it might be easier to list the people in Mid-South who didn't play a little football, because that seemed to be a prerequisite to be in this territory. Uh,
Yeah.
During the week that we missed, Neidhart really grew in his beard, I thought. And also, he's apparently the babyface in the breakup between him and Butch Reed. So that answers that question. Because to be honest, I wasn't sure who the hell would be the babyface there. Because it really was Neidhart's fault, so why the hell is he the babyface?
Because Reed was a dick about it.
How dare he? A
Oh.
Anyway, Neidhart wins with a Samoan drop. I,
Watts was talking the whole time about how a tag team breaking up is like a divorce, and I don't know. I don't think it's that intense.
I'll say to be fair, I've never been on a tag team, nor have I ever been divorced, so I don't really know. Um, I,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm still surprised we're still fucking seeing Tom Lentz wrestle. I was convinced he was a one and doneer, but apparently not. He's a part of our lives here in Mid-South Wrestling, and he is going to be a part of our lives, for another couple months. He sticks around until the end of February.
Wow, that's
That's far
I
more than you were
like
expecting.
yeah, I did like did he ever do anything beyond this?
Let me go back there. I know I saw he was in the AWA a little bit, but I don't think he ever actually got much of a push. Looks like he went to the AWA. He was in the AWA till the end of '86. He was in Continental. He was in Southeast. Well, not Southeast. He was in Alabama. Um, so he was a bit of a journeyman, but it doesn't look like he ever really got a push anywhere. I'm like,
Well, too bad. Maybe he's gonna leave and go play some more football.
there you go. It looks like he also wrestled under the name Boomer Lynch. How the hell did that not stick? Oh
Boomer
my,
Lynch. That's a fantastic name.
I guess you're a year off. I was gonna say, hey, we did a Saturday night match, but it was June 1992. He teamed with John Peterson to lose to Nikita Koloff and Ricky Steamboat. Well, that was during the Bill Watts era, so that might explain how
Oh,
he got the booking. John Peterson, by the way, in case you care, is also known as John Allen, whoever the hell that is. And he had a little bit of a run as a WCW jobber and fell off the face of the earth, from what I can tell. And, you know, now that
John Peterson.
John Peterson, aka John Allen.
I don't think I've seen him yet in my 1993
Um,
WCW.
you're not watching Worldwide, are you?
No, I'm just watching Saturday Night.
All right, so his last WCW match was taped on July 8th for Worldwide against Ice Train. But yeah, his run was 90 to 92. Run, of course, being a figurative word.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So where the hell were we? Oh yeah, Dr. Death, Steve Williams versus Crusher Darsow. By the way, in case we didn't mention it, Neidhart won that match with a Samoan drop. Not that there was any surprise to that. So one thing I'm liking about the new format of this show is that the important angles and the important people don't just appear once on the show at the beginning and then we don't see them again until next week. This is the third time we're seeing Darsow. And I note that Darsow is getting thick. Either that or wearing a flannel shirt and Daisy Duke somehow made him look smaller than he really was. But I guess we're getting to the point where I don't know if this is before or after, but Ernie Ladd one point calls him Fat Darsow backstage.
It's those superior Russian training techniques.
There you go. There you go. Was when did Rocky 4 come out? Rocky 4 came out after this, right? I'm
I
pretty.
want to say it was 1984.
Let's see. Too bad we don't have like, an internet search engine that we can just look up. 1985, apparently.
Oh, okay.
So maybe they got the idea for the training montage of the Russian in Rocky 4 from Nikolai Volkoff and Krusher Darsow.
Or from and the Rocky montage from Magnum TA in Wrestling 2.
There you go. Because without that, who would have thought to do such a thing?
Wouldn't that have been a great angle? Ivan Drago tarring and feathering Rocky.
It would have made me bet on Drago to win their last fight. Um, so Doc makes his comeback with three shoulder tackles, and Darsow rolls to the outside. Volkov runs down and gives he gives Darsow some sort of international object that Darsow used to knock Doc the fuck out for the win. So I was a little surprised to see Crusher Darsow get a pin over Dr. Death, but I guess it does continue the angle.
Gotta tell you, I've been watching 1993 All Japan, and it's crazy how great Doc is a decade hence. This was not as good as the Doc and Kobashi match that I just watched, though.
I'm shocked that Dr. Death Steve Williams in his first real year in pro wrestling and Crusher Darsow in 1984 was not as good as Dr. Death and Kenta Kobashi in 93.
Really wasn't.
I'm gobsmacked by that information. So then we get one of those matches that you never knew happened, Like how last year when Arn Anderson was here and he was wrestling everybody that you never knew he ever wrestled. Um, Butch Reed took on Rick Rude, which I gotta say, like I said, a match I never knew happened until it happened.
Yeah. Uh, Watts was really putting Rude over as somebody with a lot of potential for the future. They went almost 5 minutes. They went right up to the TV time limit. Sorry. They went right up to the. Excuse me.
You were not allowed to say that.
Apparently not.
They went right up to the
Tell them.
TV time limit before
Yeah,
Reed
and they
got the win.
yeah they really made you think that Rude was going to last it out, but he didn't.
Yep. I noticed that Watts, I don't know, was there a bad ref call during this show? I must have missed it or something because Watts starts defending his kid fucking up calls, and he's talking about the NBA referee strike and how the replacement referees can't be expected to be as good as the experienced refs, which at least is a good point, but I must have missed when Joel fucked something up apparently on this show. Uh,
Yeah, I don't know. He was just saying that they were like introducing some new referees, and I don't know. I didn't really think about it that much. I suppose you could be right.
at one point, and keep in mind, there was tar and feather or whatever they used for tar in the ring for most of the show, and it didn't really bother anybody because I think most people just avoided that area of the ring. But Butch Reed took a turnbuckle, and I think he stepped into the mess in the middle, and it fucked up his turnbuckle spot because he almost came to a complete stop and then pretty much dove into the corner to take the buckle. They announced that Budrow is back next week and debuting as Nature Boy Buddy Landel, because before he was just the regular jobber brunette Buddy Landel. So he's since bleached his hair. And plus, Grizzly Smith is trying to sign a new team. And it's not a pair of 12-year-old girls, it's a team that is liked by 12-year-old girls.
Although one
Which,
of them is named Punky, so
yes, and the other one's named Hoot. It's the Rock and Roll Express, who, as we've seen on AEW television recently, have not really been kidnapped by John Moxley.
no, but they should probably be protected more.
Yeah. I feel like we've seen the Rock and Roll Express wrestle before. You know, who knows? Um, anyway, Watts brought up the tar and feathering earlier and called it a chickening, which I gotta say is a much better name than a tar and feathering.
Oh, okay. I like that.
And then Reed won as the show came to an end. And I gotta say, maybe it's because we haven't watched Mid-South in a few weeks. I really enjoyed that show this week.
Yeah, no, it was good. It's the show is finally starting to become more interesting.
Yes, it is. Yes, it fucking is. And this is the beginning of what most people would say was their best year. So take a deep seat and just enjoy the next 51 weeks.
It's exciting. We earned this.
Yes, we did. Especially after that October, November crap that we had to deal with. Oh boy.
Yeah, that was rough.
All right. So we go over to World Class, and I'm not going to bother playing the intro of World Class with Bill Mercer, but the main event is Max versus Kerry Von Erich. Plus, as we've talked about and mentioned before, they air the Ric Flair David Von Erich match from the Christmas Star Wars show. And to be honest, if you weren't at that show, that gave away that David Von Erich was not winning the world title. Because if you think David Von Erich won the world title on Christmas night and they waited almost 3 weeks to air it on TV, you're freaking out of your fucking mind. Wait till May. I guarantee when Kerry wins the fucking world title, they don't wait until almost the end of May to acknowledge it on TV.
Spoilers.
Oh, yep, spoiler. And spoiler alert, David Von Erich is in the last month of his life. But so fast forwarding 14 minutes, because they started the match or started the show by airing that Flair David match. Let's go now to an interview with the final Freebird, Buddy Roberts.
Earlier this week, we met with Buddy Roberts, one of the Freebirds, for an update on the fortunes of those fabulous three men. Here's what we found out.
Another rather momentous occasion on World Class Championship Wrestling. The six-man World Tag Championship has changed hands. With me is one-third of the new champions, or I should say the champions again, Buddy Roberts of the Freebirds, the big trophy. And this was interesting because since Michael Hayes and Terry Gordy can't wrestle in Texas, you took this match into Georgia. How did you happen to pull that one off? Why Georgia? Because it's friendly?
Well, I'll tell you what, we did have a return match clause, and we did want it in the state of Georgia where things would not be prejudiced against us, may I say.
So you had friends there who also, or is this a general rule that the claw is banned for every wrestler in Georgia, as it was banned for the Von Erichs to use?
Well, the claw should be barred and banned in every state, in every country in the world.
But it's not.
But it's not, but it was barred in this match, and we did not need any help from anybody else to win our belts back. We won it on strictly class.
I see. That you lost the six-man world championship recently with Ric Flair as your helper when Michael Hayes was gone, right?
Yeah, if Michael Hayes was not barred from the state of Texas, we would not have lost the belt in the first place.
All right, now we want to talk about a rematch. We have Michael Hayes standing by on the telephone. We want to talk about a rematch in this and some of the things that can happen because I know the Von Erichs want that very badly. However, two-thirds of the Freebirds can't come to Texas, so let's hold that for just a second. Let's go back now to the World Class Championship Wrestling Star Wars and that Christmas time, and take a look at what happened with Michael Hayes coming in as Santa Claus. One of the most dastardly things, in my opinion, that you've ever done, and the three of you. Probably you've done some other things that you're proud of. This one I can't imagine you being proud of. As Michael Hayes comes in, we think it's Santa Claus. Michael is clapping his hands, and it turns out as he walks around, grabs a hand and smashes David Von Erich. And immediately, everybody goes into panic. What has happened to the spirit of Christmas, to what children think? Why did you do this, buddy? Why did Michael do this? Why did he come up in this outfit?
Well, first off, there was a promise made that the Von Erichs would have a Christmas present, and all that's happened here is the devil does pay its dues, and it did happen on Christmas Day.
And so you're proud of this?
Well, it made me very happy, especially this right here.
Here's one of the great things that children look to in Christmas. Santa Claus represents all the good things of life. And Michael Hayes comes in dressed like this, tears in and out of the ring, and creates an image of Santa Claus as being, well, a monster. And you like that?
Well, they just got what they deserved. That's all I got to say about that.
All
we
right.
probably have worse things for them coming up.
Oh, well, we will certainly want to check into that. But Michael Hayes is standing by telephone. You're in Atlanta, Georgia, Michael. I'm sorry we couldn't get together with you.
Yeah, well, I didn't feel like letting you or your silly cameras in my houses anymore after the previous two visits you had.
Yes, well, I can understand that. They have been rather tense. Now, I want to go to the six-man World Tag Team Championship situation. There's a lot of things that could happen. The Von Erichs want a rematch, naturally. But they don't necessarily want to go to Georgia because they can't use the claw. You can't come to Texas. How about some of the ideas you have on where and how this could be done?
Well, then there's about 48 other states left in our country where we can go and have it, and there's about 60 or 70 countries where we can have it. You know, the right stipulations, as far as I'm concerned, we can have it anywhere, Mercer. But you know something, since you bothered me enough at my home in Georgia, this beautiful state where we won back our beautiful six-man, which was not lost by us, but Ric Flair, let me bring a couple things to point real quick, because, see, I'm busy. Number one, this thing started in the Christmas '82 when I gave Kerry Von Erich the world title on a silver platter, and he refused it. Number two, all your conspiracies cost us a lot of things. It cost us our world title one time. It cost me to have to leave. Everybody knows I beat Kerry. It also cost us what happened the other night, and that's why Christmas night, that's what it cost you, man. It cost you a year's worth of retaliation. That's why I sat back and did it. And if you don't like it, and if anybody else don't, that's too bad.
All right, that's an interesting harangue, but are you willing to wrestle anywhere that the Von Erichs can use the claw, that this can get into a straight-up match?
You know, Mercer, I guess, you know, you must be hard of hearing or your mother was scared by a parrot. I just told you, man, that any amount of money can add, you know, where there's money, there's a way.
All right.
You see, that's what brought us off of Bad Street, man, okay? Because we scrapped and we dug go for everything we ever had to get, not like them silly Von Erichs that had their daddy give them everything. So you pass the word along, man, because you never know when the Freebirds are going to show up, because there's only 3 of us. We can't be imitated. We can't be duplicated.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. Appreciate your
comment. Thank you very much. Hey, don't bother me anymore, all right?
We will not do that, certainly. So that's Michael Hayes. Are you in agreement?
I'm in total agreement. Us Freebirds, we stick together.
Of course, what Michael tells you to do, you do anyway, right?
Hey, we stick together. We work as a unit, as one. Okay, brother?
All right, thank you, Buddy Roberts, very much. World-class championship tag team champions. And we'll be back with more world-class championship wrestling in a moment.
You know what I've learned today, Trey? You can get a lot done in 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't know about you, but I did not stick around to listen to that entire thing. In fact, if my computer would have fucked up and would have just started doing whatever, I would have had no fucking idea. Probably know that is what happened.
What did you accomplish?
I didn't do a whole lot, to be honest. I went to the bathroom and then I filled up my drink cup.
What are you drinking over there?
Some 4C peach iced tea, which is always some good shit.
All right, nice.
Yeah. Are you got the usual over there? Good Sprite
So
Zero?
I actually have a full-on Sprite because that's what the grocery order they were out of my Sprite Chill Zero, and
Right.
so they subbed in regular Sprite.
They have Sprite 140. It wasn't it wasn't a case where they were out of Sprite, so they got a 28-pound ham or something.
No, I've never had that happen.
But have you ever seen those memes where it's like people will talk about like the substitutions that are made for them on their orders from grocery stores, and
Oh,
it's like,
I absolutely believe it. It's just that I've never had that happen to me.
part of me wants to order from a grocery store like that to see what would happen, and part of me really doesn't because, I mean, as much as I love ham, I don't know if I really want a 28-pound ham.
We did one time, it was Easter morning, and we were gonna go pick up a ham from Walmart, and then when we went to pick up our order, it was they didn't have they were out of the hams, and they didn't try to
Uh-huh.
substitute a different ham. And so we went in the store and went and looked, and there was one ham left, and it was the one that we had put on the thing that they said they didn't have. But there was one left, and we just got it. And I've always been so confused about that because
Maybe,
they're like, how did you miss it if you actually looked for it?
maybe they're looking in the wrong spot.
Uh, well, I would hope better of them than that, but I guess not.
Now, mind you, this was a pretty good promo here, so I don't know why we're talking about ham instead, but what the hell? We wouldn't be something else if we actually talked about the promo that happened on screen. Um, so, um, the Freebirds apparently won the six-man tag titles from the Von Erichs in Georgia because the Claw is banned in Georgia somehow. I'd like to think the state of Georgia has more things to worry about than what moves should be banned or not. And I'd like to also believe that that is still on the record books in the state of Georgia, that the claw is banned. Um,
That's yeah, somebody should do something with that.
yes. So let's see here. That they weren't lying, by the way, when they said that Georgia they need to find a state that didn't have biased referees. Tell me where
Oh
they were
yeah,
lying. You know?
absolutely. They're gonna have to go to fucking Japan or something. All these
Yep.
referees. By the way, I believe that may have been a phantom title change.
Yeah, from best what I could tell, it was a phantom change. Because I mean, World Class, I was looking it up and I was trying to find, okay, maybe there's like a missing show somewhere. But like World Class ran so many shows during that 2-week period since Christmas that it's like, where the hell would they have gotten a free day to get 6 people into Georgia to do a real title change.
Not enough time to get them in at the Omnomni.
No, no. Yeah, maybe we'll start watching Georgia Championship Wrestling in a few years. We'll get to the end of December '83, and they'll have a random Von Erich's Freebirds 6-man tag team title match on the show, but we doubt it.
Wouldn't that be tremendous?
It would be. It would be. I've been watching a little bit of Georgia because they've been coming up on my YouTube feed, and I don't know. Gordon Soley and Ole Anderson is a really weird combination of announcers.
Yeah, I watched quite a bit of the I don't know, like 79, 80, 81 that was available on there. I wish that we don't really have full shows, do we? We just have mostly clips of Georgia.
Mostly, yeah. Um, the first one I saw, this might have been what sent me down the Georgia rabbit hole where it's now being recommended, was a Georgia show that Bret Hart talked about in his book that he was booked in Georgia, and I think he wrestled Buzz Sawyer, and Ole somehow missed the match because he wanted to bring Bret into the territory, but ended up not seeing the match. So for some reason, that just meant not signing Bret at all, or not bringing Bret in at all. And it also had Sterling Golden on the show, which,
Oh wow.
yeah, who'd have
Probably
thunk
would have
it?
been the first time that they were on the same card, wouldn't it?
Probably. I mean, I can't imagine Hogan going to Calgary.
The one that everybody should watch, the episode of Georgia Championship Wrestling, is the one after the big turn when Ole turned on Dusty. There's just like this whole episode over the course. I think it's over the course of several promos where Ole explains turning on Dusty. It's fucking brilliant.
Hmm. I mean, who'd have thought Ole was a great promo, right?
Right?
Um,
Yeah.
it's funny. Everyone talks about like, Four Horsemen drinking and womanizing. To this day, I still cannot imagine Ole Anderson out womanizing. And, I can imagine him drinking, no problem. But him picking up a whole bunch of women, taking him back to his hotel room to fuck at night, I have a hard time picturing that.
Yeah, I probably more of a Flair and Tully thing.
Yeah. Even Arn, I bet Arn was pretty good at that. Who who was it that Bret talked about during his Hall of Fame speech? They had like a glass eye that they took out and put in Arn's beer one day or something.
Oh, I don't remember.
But you know the story I'm talking about, right?
Believe you, I haven't seen that in a long time.
Yes. I haven't read Bret's book in a long time. That needs to go next up on the list after I get done the Flair book.
Yeah, I would like to reread Brett's book as well. It's one of the better ones. It's because like he fucking like tape recorded himself for years,
Hmm.
so he basically had like an audio diary.
I think I remember the main problem I had with Brett's book, and I didn't have that many problems with Brett's book, and you know me, I'm fucking a nitpicky son of a bitch. I think my main problem was he was too hard on himself at times. Like I get he made some mistakes that he regrets, but like there are definitely times he's too honest and he's too like hard on himself, I thought. But also then in the
Yeah.
same breath, I also thought it was kind of funny that he only liked you if you thought he was like the greatest wrestler ever. Because if you read the book, it's like he hated Dave Meltzer until Dave was really putting him over. He hated Shawn Michaels, except for the times when Shawn said that he was the best wrestler in the business. And I just always thought that was kind of weird.
Well, that was Brett.
Yeah.
That was certainly believe that was how Brett was. I
So
realized
go ahead.
when they started doing like when AEW introduced all the like the Owen Hart stuff
Hmm.
and Martha kind of got back in the public eye and I heard her on like on like the Observer Radio, and I realized, oh, this is like a really lovely woman, and I just had a bad idea of her for years purely
Yes.
because Brett didn't like her.
Honestly, I didn't even have it because of Bret didn't like her. I had a bad feeling for her because she wouldn't let Owen go into the Hall of Fame. She wouldn't let WWE do an Owen Hart DVD for the longest time. I'm like, wow, what a bitch. And then, like, I listened to the Observer Radio that she did. I watched The Dark Side of the Ring, and I'm like, wow, I was a selfish dickhead. Like, this woman lost her fucking husband, and I'm sitting here whining that she won't let the company that killed him honor him.
Yeah, but you could tell that like Brett always resented her, probably resented her for taking Owen away from him.
I could definitely see that. And that whole fucking period was such a fucked up period too, in May 1999 and all that. Then he had like Bulldog and Neidhart's wives faxing legal documents to WWF's legal team that like confidential shit between Martha and her lawyer. It's like, holy crap. Like that family really, really did not stay together.
No.
I've
We
also
have gone a hell of a long way to avoid talking about this Johnny Mantel match.
we didn't even really talk about the promo. I don't even know how the hell we got here. But anyway, Hayes basically said that they would come back and defend the six-man titles for money, which, hey, okay. Um,
Valid.
yeah, Buddy Roberts versus John Mantell. Um, this, I swear to God, I should have written down a timestamp. I meant to and I forgot to, and I don't want to go, fishing for it now. But during this match, Bill Mercer Bill Mercer is a co-host of something else during this match because he starts talking about he says Michael Hayes, who displayed uncouthness by being Santa Claus, and then goes off on like a 3-minute rant about whatever, and then comes back to tell us that the six-man tag team title match will be progressing and that a match has been signed. And I came up with a brilliant idea, I thought. Since
Yeah.
since they're not allowed in Texas, and the Monarchs obviously want to have a match in Texas, they should put the ring halfway on the Texas-Oklahoma border. So half the ring is in Texas and half is out in Oklahoma, and the Von Erichs can only win on the Texas side, and the Freebirds can only win on the Oklahoma side.
Uh, that's sounds really difficult.
It definitely would be, but hey, I would love it, but then again, I'm me. Um, so anyway, the Von Erichs volunteered to rescind the stipulations to allow the Freebirds back into the state to have a six-man tag team title match. And I have to ask why? Like, they couldn't just strip the Von Erichs of the six-man, or not the Von Erichs, but strip the Freebirds of the six-man tag team titles? Like,
Well,
you have to protect the integrity of the lineage of the belts, I guess.
they had to resolve this Freebirds being banned story somehow.
But it's like, and we knew it was happening this fast. But again, this was pretty fucking fast. Like,
I
hey,
really like. I didn't think it was gonna be like the first week.
yeah, Hayes was kicked out on Thanksgiving, and yeah, I get 6 or 7 weeks has passed, except on TV, we never saw Hayes lose the goddamn match, and we didn't know no he lost the match until like the middle of December, and at that point they'd already been building to the Terry Gordy leaves town match on Christmas, and now the very first show after they're back, or after we're back from Star Wars, they were already bringing those two back. Like we couldn't even go a month without the fucking Freebirds in and Von Erichs. And that explains everything that goes wrong with this fucking territory in a nutshell. They found one thing that's hot and I don't want to say refused to go with anything else, but basically refused to ever go with anything else.
They don't trust anything else that isn't Von Erich's Freebirds.
Yep. During this match, we also find out that Max has been acquired by General Skandor Akbar, which I bet wasn't a very hard negotiation since Akbar, he wasn't the manager of Max in Mid-South, but he was like an advisor of sorts because he's the one that introduced Max.
Yeah, he did. He did never manage him, but he was the one that told us that the man's name was Max.
Yep. Now, during this riveting Buddy Roberts Johnny Mantell match, I was searching for the six-man tag title changes. I was looking every possible way to try to figure out where and when this match may have actually happened. And I spoiled the finish of this match, which probably shouldn't have surprised me when I saw the fucking match. Because Johnny Mantell, the man of 10,000 10-minute time limit draws on this show, went to a 10-minute time limit draw with Buddy Roberts. How long was the 10 minutes really?
It was 9 minutes and 10 seconds.
So, all things considered, with World Class and their stopwatch, pretty goddamn close to the real time.
So I've been lucky enough to do some a read through of Lizzie Flanagan's biography on Gino Hernandez, and I'm about.
Let's say who is Lizzie Flanagan, but okay.
She's we've interacted with her on the Twitter machine before.
Okay.
She's a big world class, big Von Erichs fan, and yet she's been writing has a pretty substantial manuscript of a Gino Hernandez biography. And anyway,
Nice.
I was reading this the other day, and I get to the point where Gino was kind of re-debuting in World Class in a couple of months from now. And of course, his first match is going to be a 10-minute draw against Johnny Mantell. And it was just her reading her trying to make sense of that booking, and just me with the reference of us dealing with this for months and months on end. I just laughed and laughed and laughed.
I hope you told her this.
I kind of read it in chunks, and I'll go through and mark it, and then I'll go through and write up some little notes. So I really need to work on finishing that.
All right. So up next, we had Chris Adams by himself against Black Gordman. Adams no longer has Sunshine in his corner, which is apparently what happens when you lose to Jim Garvin. And we have some news because Jim Garvin plus title win equals controversy. Let's go to Jim Garvin, who suddenly appears in the ring. He's got something to say.
Then listen to the greatest wrestler in the world for a minute. You just wait a minute too. I want everybody here to know, and I want you to know that I'm the real American heavyweight champion. And I don't care what people are saying. I don't care about it. I know the fact that it's held up is a conspiracy. It's a conspiracy because the title's held up. Just like the Texas title. Why don't we defend it right now? Why don't you wrestle me right now? Let's just get it settled right now. Hey, you're probably too afraid and don't have enough guts anyway, Englishman.
So, did I miss the controversial ending of the American title match? I mean, I'm sure Garvin cheated to win, but what the hell would have led to the title being held up?
Wasn't there like a bunch of interference, or at least Sunshine interfering?
Yeah, but this was after actually, yeah, Sunshine probably interfered, but Sunshine also interfered to help Adams win. If you remember, she like won the fucking match for him at Thanksgiving
Well, that was different
because she helped a babyface win.
because for plot reasons.
Okay, great. So Garvin kicked Adams in the guts that he doesn't have and lays him out before slinking away. And I think I mentioned this, but it's Chris Adams versus Black Gordman. Despite that, despite the fact that Adams has now been laid out, the bell rings to start the match, and then Adams wins in 30 seconds with a schoolboy and what looked like a handful of tights. Garvin gets back in, and he and Gordman lay out Adams again and throw him out of the ring. Okay, why did we have to watch a 10-minute John Mantell match and 30 seconds of Chris Adams versus Black Gordman? I bet that could have been a really fun 5 or 6 minute match.
Felt bad for Black Gordman, who appeared just very confused by this whole thing.
Honestly, I think Black Gordman's entire run in World Class, for lack of a better word, is an entirely confusing thing.
Yeah. But yeah, by the way, 20 seconds was the time on that match, if you're keeping track.
See, I exaggerated a bit. I gave Black Gordman a little bit more than he deserved. I said 30 seconds.
Yeah.
I apologize to anybody listening. I didn't mean to, lie to you there. But yeah. Let's
No,
see.
you meant well.
Yep. How long is good old Blackie Gordman here with us in World Class? He is actually here. I don't know how much this is really going to be on TV that we're going to watch. Looks like his last Sportatorium match. Oh my God. Oh my God. I mean, I guess it doesn't surprise me he was in the territory because, I mean, it's territory days. Everyone moves around. But do you want to guess who Black Gordman's last Sportatorium match is that led to me making that reaction?
What year is it?
84.
84.
It's in May. It's right after the Parade of Champions. Well, I'll tell you. Buck Zumoff.
Oh God.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Let's see how much Buck Zumoff we're gonna have to deal with on this show, because that could get difficult. Oh fuck, he's here for a while. He's gonna debut in April of '84, and he's gonna be here until February of '85.
wow, we're gonna see a lot of the worst things Buck Sumoff has ever done.
And to think he's not being booked by Grizzly Smith. Although I guess their crimes were two very different crimes, I guess. I don't know.
They would have been fast friends, wouldn't
They probably would have. They would have both hung out at the schools together looking for girls. And I think we'll just stop that conversation now. So Max with General Skandor Akbar took on Kerry Von Erich next. Now, do you remember the last match where Chris Adams got attacked by Jimmy Garvin, got laid out, and then the match still began with Chris Adams writhing in pain on the ground? This match begins with Kerry Von Erich signing autographs for some kids. So Max dives off the top rope with a headbutt to Kerry. Now, I'll say, hey, drunk Mark Lawrence for once, instead of staying in the ring and finishing his fucking announcements, got out of the ring, which may be the first time ever he did that. Kevin Von Erich runs down to help his brother, and Akbar pulls Max away. And then, much like a UFC low blow, Kerry was given time to recover before the match was actually begun. Why did Kerry get time to recover and Chris Adams didn't? I mean, I guess
typical.
I guess Chris Adams would have won his match in 10 seconds if he had given time to recover. But suddenly I understand why, spoiler alert, Chris Adams turns on the Von Erichs in September.
Typical Von Erich favoritism. By the way, Kevin in a very swanky All Japan Pro Wrestling jacket.
Oh, that's nice. I did not write much about this match. I didn't even really write the finish. I wrote Max's primary offense is his head. I guess Mama Max told him to use his head, and he took her words to heart. And the match just ends as everyone gets involved for a double disqualification. Okay, then.
Indeed. That was a match.
There wasn't anything I'm missing there?
Of all the matches that I've seen, this was one of them.
This was definitely the most recent world-class main event that we watched.
Absolutely.
By the way, I should note, I don't know why I never noticed Buddy Roberts' Canadianness before, but he said something. I think he said against during that promo that I'm like, hey, that was very Canadian of Buddy Roberts there.
Oh, is he Canadian?
Yeah, I looked it
I
up.
didn't.
He's from Canada.
Wow, did not know that.
Yep. By the way, Max is gonna be here for a while. He's gonna be here until January. Then he comes back in the end of 1985 for another run. So basically, for as long as we're going to be doing this, Max is going to be a big part of our lives. Um, yeah, the end of '85 run is goes until the middle of '86, and then he comes back during the death of world class, right around the time Fritz has a heart attack, and stays with us until Brody gets killed. Spoiler alert: Brody gets killed, but not on this show.
So death by 1,000, not paper cuts. Death by 1,000 max matches.
Wow. So next week, hey, we mentioned Andre the Giant a few weeks ago in his last couple non-WWF US runs. He's going to be here next week. Andre's going to be teaming with Iceman Parsons versus the Super D's. Because as Bill Mercer said, now that he's had revenge on Akbar, he wants more revenge.
I mean, valid.
I mean, I guess if, you're going to use that saying someone's getting more revenge, it makes sense considering Akbar tried to light his face on fire, but it's still kind of funny.
I'd want a lot of revenge if somebody set my face on fire, I think.
Yeah. So when do you think Iceman and his partner are going to defend their American tag team titles again?
Will it ever be acknowledged again that they're the champions?
I'm right now trying to remember who the hell his partner is. I have a feeling it's another black wrestler, but I'm just
It's
com
not.
it's not.
It's
Wow.
not a black wrestler.
I don't know why I'm completely blanking on this. Because the original angle was him and Dog, and Dog had better things to do on Christmas night than come in and help his buddy Iceman. Um, it wasn't Chris Adams, because Chris Adams had his own thing. I'm literally looking this up because I don't fucking remember. Brian Adias. There we go. Fucking Brian
Brian
Adias.
Adias. Yeah.
Suddenly I get a free pass, I think, on this one. Um, Spoiler
Yeah.
alert. They don't hold the belts for very long, it looks like.
Oh.
However, King Parsons does win the mysterious World Television title. Um,
Oh.
I'm actually curious if that fucking belt ever gets acknowledged. I think it got acknowledged, but I don't think it ever gets defended on Dallas television at all. Let me
So
see. I
weird.
was looking through all the title changes, and Fort Worth, Fort Worth, Fort Worth. Everything is Fort Worth. Hey, Lance Von Erich wins the belt at some point. I'm sure that excites you. And at least we missed the Mongols 42 days as champion.
Do they have a belt?
I
Or
I, I don't actually know.
is it like the Smoky Mountain TV title?
It's probably like the Smoky Mountain TV title. So right now the TV champion is Super Destroyer. It doesn't say which one. I'm assuming it's Super Destroyer 1. It's Scott Irwin, who, according to Cage Match, is both Super Destroyer 1 and Super Destroyer number 2. So that's really helpful. Scott Irwin is the TV champion.
I think that he is canonically in World Class Super Destroyer number 2, but I
It,
just I just made that up, so it may not be accurate.
I wonder, like, because judging by the fact that it seems like every title reign is in um, multiples of 7, I wonder if they were actually doing weekly title matches on the Fort Worth TV show.
Well, maybe. It seems to be a very active TV championship.
I mean, it was a fucking whatchamacallit, what the hell was I gonna say? I don't know what the hell was I gonna say, but oh yeah, the Fort Worth show was 2 hours, so they needed something to fill that fucking show up. And if you listen to Corny, there's only like 20 people on World Class, and you watch some of these shows, and I believe there's only 20 people in World Class, so you needed somebody to fill up that time.
I bet that Fort Worth show is a fucking chore.
Oh, I guarantee it. Um, Also, Lance Von Erich is the first Von Erich to actually lose the TV title.
Oh, well,
Yes,
that's unfortunate.
yes, because by the looks of it, the first Von Erich to actually win the belt was Kevin Von Erich, and he vacates it randomly in May of this year. I say spoiler alert, but it'll never get mentioned on this TV show, so it doesn't fucking matter.
I guess
Mhm.
it's almost like Lance isn't even a real Von Erich.
I know. Jake Roberts is going to win it this year. Billy Jerk Haynes wins the belt next year. Rip Oliver, Killer Tim Brooks. Um, Looking at some of the great champions and some of the talent we get to look forward to. Krusher Yurkov isn't who the hell is Krusher Yurkov? Wasn't that I thought that was Volkoff. No, it's Bam Bam Bigelow. Okay.
Oh,
So in 1986, we're gonna get fucking Bam Bam Bigelow at the end of the year. Really.
did not know that Bam Bam Bigelow went through a Russian phase.
Yeah, and according to Young Rock, Jerry Lawler tells him to go to New York, which I, you know, I love The Rock, but that did not happen.
I don't,
Um,
I don't, I don't imagine a lot of what was on Young Rock happened.
Except my favorite part about the though, like, is like he still holds a grudge against Shawn Michaels for being a dick to him, and like he refused to even have Shawn Michaels on his show. He had a fake Shawn Michaels with a fake name. I don't remember what it was, but he basically said, "You know who this is," without saying who it is.
That's funny. That's I don't know. It's just kind of funny that like I'm sure they thought nothing of being a dick to this guy, and he ends up being like the most famous man in the world, and he hates you because you were a dick 20 years ago.
Which is funny because like I mean, I guess it would have been hard because if Michaels hadn't gotten the back injury and was still around, he would have still been a dick for at least a few more years. But like he was not a dick towards Hunter on Young Rock. Like, yeah, a little bit, but it wasn't anywhere in the same fucking league as Shawn Michaels. No one else got, just completely ignored.
I think that Rock and Hunter worked together enough that they kind of had a
Begrudging.
grudging professional respect.
Yeah. Like they fucking wrestled a lot. Like I remember the joke about Steve Austin and The Undertaker having about 55 pay-per-view main events with one another in 1999. But Triple H and The Rock, especially that beginning of 2000 when there was nobody else in the fucking company, like they wrestled a lot.
So, the last match that they ever had was like a fucking random no contest on Raw, and like it might have been like the SummerSlam 2002 Go Home Raw.
I actually did know that. Um, which I and that was like the week before they just gave Hunter the world title, or it got taken out of his suitcase and given to him.
Yeah, because yeah, okay, so that was the go home show for SummerSlam, and then the night after SummerSlam was Triple H beating The Undertaker in a number one contender match, and then the week after that was when they gave him the big gold belt.
Yes, because Brock announced that even though he was the undisputed WWE champion, he was going to only wrestle on SmackDown from now on.
It annoys me so much that they're still calling Cody the undisputed champion when there is in fact another world heavyweight championship on the other show.
I was like, I was half right because I said when Cody won the belt, they would stop calling it the undisputed title and slowly put it back to the WWE title. And actually, at WrestleMania Access last year, whatever the hell they call it, there were big posters for the Roman Cody match, and Roman was just listed as the WWE champion. And so I'm like, oh, see, they're slowly pulling it back, and they did a couple times stop calling it the undisputed WWE title. But yeah, at
Yeah.
this point now, it's just completely fucking ridiculous.
So Roman was always billed as the undisputed WWE Universal Champion.
Yes, because
Cody
without
has been billed as the undisputed WWE Champion.
yes, because without the Universal part, then Roman wasn't champion for 1,300 days, because that was the belt he won in the first place.
Yes.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just ridiculous. I'm sure it says on the belt undisputed WWE champion or whatever, but it's like, who gives a shit? Just fucking drop the undisputed part. The funny thing was like, because they were still for a while. I don't know if they still have it on WWE.com, but for a while, WWE.com listed Cody as both the WWE champion and the Universal champion, meaning the Seth Rollins world title was the third world title, which
Yeah. As far as I know, Cody is still recognized as both the WWE Champion and the Universal Champion.
and and you and like Hunter, like again, fuck Hunter, and apparently that's going to be the theme of this week. Apparently, is me saying fuck Hunter a lot. But it's like he could not help but bury the entire roster when he brought back the world title, because it was like when Roman was only defending the belt once every 6 months or so, and he comes out and says that Roman was the only person smart enough to make a contract where he doesn't have to defend the title all the time. It's like, okay, great, thank you for burying the entire company, other than Roman Reigns.
Triple H bury the entire roster? I can't imagine such a thing.
I know, right? And again, I know wrestling's fake. You know wrestling's fake. We all know wrestling's fucking fake. I'm tired of watching wrestling shows where they tell you that it's fake. You know?
Yeah, they they're not supposed to tell you that it's fake. That they're not supposed to ruin the immersion.
Yeah. Like that intro, everyone talks about the Hulk Hogan being booed on the first Netflix Raw last week. It does not get brought up enough, that opening video for Raw. Did you watch that?
Yeah.
He Hunter is, I don't say violating kayfabe at this point, but like he's basically telling you this is fake, this is fake, and ultimately it's like, why? I don't even say why do we watch it, because I mean we watch it because we enjoy it, but it's like, you know there's no suspension of disbelief when you're being told on the show that it's fake. It's like on TNA, Vince Russo is ranting and raving every fucking week right now about how wrestling's fake, that he's the writer that makes all the stars, and how Goldust and The Undertaker and Paul Bearer, he's the one that created all of them and they became stars because of him. And that's a different story altogether. But still, you're telling the people on the fucking show you're watching that what you're watching is fake. Like, I watch movies. I watch a lot of fucking movies. I watch a lot of fucking TV shows. I'm aware that what I'm watching is fake. They don't tell me or put a crawler at the bottom of the screen telling me this shit is fake and has writers and all that. And it allows me to suspend my disbelief for 30 minutes or an hour or 2 hours or whatever and get into it. I know Law and Order SVU isn't real, but I have watched many episodes of SVU where I was fucking pissed off that the guy arrested got away with it in the end.
Yeah. It's like they're not supposed to beat you over the head with it. They're not supposed to insult you with it.
And then, of course, because, Hunter can't just, he's fucking retired. Why the hell is he still over the fucking show? He has to open up the first Raw on Netflix. He had to open up WrestleMania last year. Why?
He hates being the center of attention.
Yeah, sure. Oh, God. I'm afraid to ask how we got into me screaming about Triple H, but I said it doesn't even matter at this point.
These
That
days, one of these days, we just got to do a whole show on fuck Triple H.
would be a fun show. Did you see the 12-man tag that's going to happen on Collision next week?
Yeah, I did.
This is one of those, why is this match happening? I mean, I know why it's happening. They're meshing together a whole bunch of feuds, but it's Jon Moxley, Wheeler Yuta, Claudio Castagnoli, Chris Jericho, Big Bill, and Brian Keith against Powerhouse Hobbs, the Outrunners, FTR, and Cope.
That's I wouldn't have a problem with this, except like I really feel like why the fuck is Mox's crew teaming with Jericho's crew? They don't have they don't
And
have related goals or anything. Like, shouldn't fucking Jericho be everything that the Death Riders hate?
yes, he should. It's like I get that Tony Khan learned the book by playing TEW, but I'd hope he'd learned by now that, it's real booking isn't that easy. I mean, to be fair, it's not that hard sometimes, but it's not that easy either. You know, it's like he Tony Khan's booking is he took the original ROH approach where it's just, every card is a super card of dream matches and figured let's make an entire weekly promotion like that. And he's got a fucking writing team or booking team, I guess. And I don't know, like I I get this feeling like years from now there's going to be a ton of stories coming out about all the backstage inner workings of the show. And I think
Oh,
that's
I
why
can't wait.
and I think that's why TK has so many fucking NDAs out there to avoid such a thing, but at the same time like shit gets leaked.
Yeah, it will. Another generation starts writing autobiographies.
Yep. I still remember the moment where I accepted that Dave Meltzer wasn't always full of shit was I forget what it was, but he reported something about Batista way back when, like 2006 or so, something about Batista that everybody online was saying, "Oh, what complete and total bullshit. He's just making shit up now." And then when Batista's book came out, Batista told the story, and it was the exact same story that was in the Observer. So I'm like, okay, so Dave's not completely full of shit, or other Dave is just buying into this own story about himself.
Yeah, I mean it varies. You never know.
Yeah. Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy. So, Sumi Sakai retired.
Yes, she did. She really did a lot for Japanese wrestlers who've spent time in the United States. Like guys like that was why her partners in her retirement match were Evil and Show because they both I guess both of them I know Evil. Like these guys would come to the United States to do their excursions and they would live at her house, which I would guess. Does she live in San Antonio? I don't know that. I'm just guessing. Um, but yeah, she really did a lot for a lot of wrestlers. So it's like it's cool that she got to have her retirement match on a New Japan show that they kind of she got a little bit of an acknowledgement, and uh she was the first not the current Ring of Honor Women's World Championship, but the Women of Honor Championship. She had that title. She's been around since like 97 and then wasn't am I mixing her up with somebody else? Was she in like WCW for a minute for some reason or am I thinking of
Um, I think you're thinking of Miko Satomura.
I think I'm thinking of Miko Satomura. Yeah, but yeah, because Sumi didn't really come to the U.S. until like 2002-ish, it looks like.
Yeah, Miko
But
Satomura
yeah,
was fucking on Nitro. That's how
yeah,
long her career has been going.
Yeah, and she's retiring this year as well.
I mean, hey, when you're wrestling that long, it's not terribly surprising that eventually it's gonna come to an end. Um,
Yeah, this is Tanahashi's retiring in less than a year now. It's
mhm. You know, and
I'm
I mean, I can't say I watched a huge amount of Sumi Sakai matches, but like, Tanahashi retiring, that's a big fucking deal to me because I mean, he was the ace when I and a lot of people got into New Japan.
like, when I started watching New Japan, it was the period of like uh Tanahashi and Nakamura and Shibata being established as the new Three Musketeers. And everybody, I think everybody at the time felt like Nakamura was going to be the guy. And Nakamura ended up being like really great and a huge star, but like Tanahashi ended up being the ace, right?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Um, but yeah, so it sucks, especially when you're watching New Japan and it's like, all these people, Ishii, Goto, Tanahashi, it's like they're all a lot closer to their last match than their first match. And I don't know when Ishii or Goto are gonna hang things up, but it's like, it I've been watching for 11 years and it's been a hard 11 years for them. Um,
I said quite a while on the Twitter I was talking about because everybody wants to talk about more people who should have been world champion, and I'm like, I actually think that fewer people should have been world champion,
hmm
like a lot fewer people.
hmm
And they're like, I don't believe the world championship should be like a gold watch that everybody gets for being a good employee.
hmm
But I reserve the right to be a complete hypocrite about this if Hiroki Goto ever gets a IWGP World Heavyweight title reign. So I will fully be supporting that dream to finally happen here next month.
Say he's got the chance. He's got a title match coming up. Not expecting it, but you never know.
Yeah, he like because when I started watching New Japan, it was like the Young Lions, the opening match guys were like, Goto and Taguchi and Naofumi Yamamoto, who's now Yoshitatsu, and then like a couple other guys who didn't stay in the business. But like those are my guys, and I've always been really partial to Goto, like really partial like to the Goto and Yoshihashi tag team just because I was partial to those guys individually, and then they became a really cool tag team. But yeah, anyway,
It- Wasn't
wishing.
Tanahashi's first Tokyo Dome, or at least first January 4th Tokyo Dome match against fucking Giant Silva and the Great Khali in like a 4-on-2 handicap match or some shit?
Yes, I believe that's right. And his
That,
part, who was his partner?
that's just fucking tremendous. Let me see.
Yeah,
It wasn't January
so-
4th. It was October 8th, 2001, but it was at the Tokyo Dome. Giant Silva and Giant Singh defeated Hiroshi Tanahashi, Kenzo Suzuki, Yutaka Yoshi, and this is one name I always butcher, Wataru Inoue.
Wataru in a way.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah,
Sound
that's okay. Apparently, I watched this match and rated it -5 stars.
and apparently Tanahashi had more than one match against them. It looks like he had four matches in a tag team situation against Giant Silva and Giant Singh, and then another tag match against Giant Silva and Masa Chono as part of the 2001 G1 Tag League.
That's
He he
horrendous.
he definitely paid his dues. I think we can all say that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, uh, Giant Silva and Giant Singh are like two people I point to when, Tom McGee gets mentioned because Tom McGee only ever had that run in the WWE, the failed run. And I guess he was in Japan for a little bit. But I'm always like, especially in the 1980s, when all you needed was a body, how the hell did Tom Magee not end up as more? How the hell did, when fucking Jim Herd was signing Junkyard Dog and the Iron Sheik in 1989, how the fuck did he not sign Tom Magee? Jerry Lawler drew in Memphis with the greenest people you've ever seen in your life, but he never brought in Tom Magee. Like, I always thought that was even weirder than the story of Tom Magee having one great match and nothing else.
Not everybody was Bret Hart.
That is very true, but I mean, you think like even as a one-time draw, you could like fucking A, like WCW in 1990 brought in Junkyard Dog and knew enough to be like, okay, if we're gonna get anything out of him, we got to put him in with Flair right now, So they did Flair versus Junkyard Dog on a Clash of Champions randomly. Um, but you would think that somebody who looked that good and was very athletic, he would have gotten far more chances than he got.
But Lawler could have gotten a couple of Mid-South Coliseum main events out of Tom Magee.
Oh, I guarantee it. It would have broken up the Jerry Lawler Bill Dundee feuds.
Never ending.
Yes. All right. So I think now that we've reached talking about Tom Magee, I think it's about time to wrap the show up.
Yeah, I don't think we could go any more off of a cliff.
All right. So let's go ahead and plug the Oh My God cast.
Yeah, ohmygodcast.com. New episode just dropped today as this airs. Where we're reviewing it's the last two shows before a show that is either called NWA Blood Fest or Blood Feast.
Yeah, I think it ends up being Blood Fest. I think I screwed up.
Yeah, it's funny, but they are like it is consistently every reference to it on the last two TV shows is to Blood Feast, and then it ends up being Blood Fest. So I wonder what happened there. But yeah, this is go ahead.
I think Blood Feast is a much better name.
Blood Feast is a really gnarly name.
Yeah. Plus
maybe
Plus it's ECW, so yeah, something called Blood Feast makes perfect sense.
Absolutely. But yeah, it's finally starting to look like ECW. We've got Joey Styles as the announcer now. We've got Paul Heyman more or less as the booker now. It's no longer that weird Eddie Gilbert kind of trying to be a Memphis knockoff in Philadelphia vibe to it. It's becoming, like we've got the debut of the Public Enemy. We're about to have the debut of Sabu and Tommy Dreamer. Like this is starting to become, and Taz. This is starting to become ECW.
So are we continuing to murder JT Smith on a weekly basis? Because that poor motherfucker.
Oh, he cut a promo on the show this week, and I was left believing that poor JT Smith should never cut another promo.
I watched one random episode of ECW from July, and like suddenly I understood why he became a full-blooded Italian. Like, I think that was the episode that they threw him out of the Eagle's nest, and he took a nasty bump.
Yeah, he took a really nasty bump off of the scaffold at the Ultra Clash too.
That poor son of a bitch. All right. Well, before we jump down an ECW rabbit hole, let's wrap things up. Thank you all for listening. Hope you all enjoyed the show. We'll see you again in 7 days.
Bye.